boozer.com Pubcast. I'm your host, Ken Ekman, and we're joined today by Bill Arsena.
Hey, hello.
Zach, but I from thinkgeek.com that's booze related that I'm going to sort of test because I've never done this before. I
have those before.
Given there are soapstones that you put in the freezer, and then you're supposed to put them in a glass.
Tells Betty Boop to bring him a drink on the rocks.
That many in. Anyway, and today I'm drinking Wild Turkey Rare Breed, barrel proof. This is first of all, any bourbon that you open a corked lid is.
I'm gonna really shitty whiskey and bottle up with a cork.
And I can is better in terms of Right. So here's what it looks like.
Looks like rock.
This is going to cool my whiskey off.
See, when you told me you were going to put... Not all know what that means. So
when you sell a product called whiskey, advertising, chill your whiskey without ice, aren't you going to, hope that they...
Maybe you have to be for it to work.
Oh. Yeah.
You have a big red whiskey in that glass.
I was 5 years ago. And not yet. My mom found my mom. So
we're gonna take all your whiskey stones and put them in a bucket and pour that beer in there. See what happens.
Sorry that you're so busy that you can't throw away beer.
Wow.
No, you don't.
And anyway, so I do have an explanation for the Big Red, though. I purchased the Red along with some Dr. Pepper from Pepper Bottling Company in Texas, sugar, and its other sodas with real sugar. Double Pepper. That's what it's called, or at least was called. So anyway, this is Big Red that was made with pure cane sugar, and unfortunately, I stayed until after I had drank all the Dr. Pepper. So this Big Red is sort of a collector's item at the. It's at least at the time that was made with pure cane sugar from a bottler.
They're going to locate your apartment, Ken, and
Big Red.
Sure, 5-year-old. Hells yes. For 5-year-old, write it up.
Will, yeah.
That was sort of
yeah.
What happens becomes drinkable.
You had that ice candy. Seems.
I wasn't going to have time to, because the stones either cold really quick, so I actually had them sitting for beer drinking later on.
I'm regretting only bringing my Big Red over here. So at some point, fair warning, I'm not wearing.
Now that we've spoken about booze, I will go ahead and move the topic of the week, which is
Daredevil.
No.
I finished it as well, and Zach?
0%.
0%. We're going to be spoiler-free today. We're just going to talk our impressions of it. Bill A., what of the
Daredevil, the Devil of Hell's Kitchen. Well, ever since the first images popped up online of what this was going to look like, I was a little skeptical. I thought, okay, costume, that's something neat. Knowledge of Daredevil was in the comic books. When I did a little research on the Daredevil, I thought it was a very cool, character and almost more Batman than. And my dad even is a huge fan of Daredevil, and when I started wanting to talk about, it got off to a great start. I felt the first 2 episodes. First episode felt very much like superhero-y. Felt very righteous. A little too dark, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got a montage of, and this isn't really a spoiler or anything, but you got or people getting killed or whatever. So it's kind of sort of like throughout the series, we see people suffering horrible injuries, horrible fates, getting their heads cut off, getting bones broken, snapping, lots of sounds of snapping. long take that I'm sure we'll talk about more in length, where Daredevil breaks into this restaurant to free a kidnapped child, and it's literally done almost like an old boy style one take, and he's just fighting these Russians, and the whole time he's getting his ass kicked. Asses, the ability of this character, but also the courage and the will to continue, and I thought like that's an incredible take on a superhero. You hardly ever see a superhero that's actually, a little.
The show a great deal in its ballsiness in using on a series of quick cutting in order to hide the fact that you don't have a decent fight choreographer, is my opinion.
Right, or the fact that the actors actually fight and you have to put a stunt guy in there or something like that. But that kind of shot, the technical aspects of it, like how did they switch out the actor with the stunt guy, or did they ever do that, or what did they do? That really, it's really impressive.
Or honestly, that sequence that to be honest, that was really the first sequence that truly sold me. I was enjoying the show prior to that, should I say?
Apartment. That guy. One of the cinematographers and directors on, and after that, a new director for every episode. I wish they'd kept him because there's a very, very slight drop in it's very well shot.
I will, that it does. The fight scenes are a little bit going forward, but there's a lot of really good and fight scenes later. It sets such a high standard. I have to say that the fight choreography was just excellent throughout, and it felt real, as typically have been. In fact, most Marvel films cast because they're fighters, celebrities, or if not celebrities, they fit the body. Trying to see Chris Hemsworth, for instance, a crazy fist fight that lasts for like 2 minutes.
Which
Soldier had good choreography, though.
That one. Martial arts style fighting, but yeah, you won't see Tony Stark doing that and stuff. There's CGI to work around it.
Mm-hmm. And the characters of Iron Man are practically invincible to a point. Tony has like an iron suit on. Thor is practically a god. Where they're actually matched physically or creatively or whatever. Olympian.
He's lower down the run in that his superpower is the fact that he's really, really good at detecting things around. Everything else is just his prowess at fighting, and in a way that humanizes him far more. In that he is a truly vulnerable character. In fact, I'd say at least half of this series is him gained in the other half.
It's him getting stitched up very viscerally, getting stitched up in almost every episode.
He gets his ass kicked almost more than he kicks ass.
He
definitely does not leave without hit
mark.
Still severely injured, and you can see how worn down he is. Like he's literally like stooping over to recover. In between punches.
We've spoken a lot about the fight sequences in the show. I'd like to next turn to the action. This show, I think, sets a brand new standard in supervillain character series. But deep and most empathetic, while at the same time the most horrific and sadistic super scene in any filmed iteration of a superhero. I mean, say what you will about the Joker. In Wilson Fisk, known in the comics, of course, as Kingpin, performance, that it's fully fleshed out in every way.
What helps is this was a TV series. You're able to explore, as opposed to a movie, which can only do it maybe in 2.5 hours.
I will say that even in just like the early, if you only take an episode or two that the character is in, there is so much to his character. He's built so much in from the first scene. you notice he's not depicted as this big, tough Goomba of a character. He's depicted as kind of a mousy, but he's wooing a girl. That's you're introduced to him.
Right. The first instances where we're introduced to him are off camera, and we just see his hand, like or the cufflinks on his wrist or whatever, and him talking. But when we actually see his body, it's him at an art gallery staring at painting that clearly reminds him of something from his past. And this woman comes up to him, and they have like a little conversation, and then that kind of mark. Funny for a villain to have.
Real love story in the series. I mean, yes, there are some hints that run with a couple other characters, but the only romantic subplot in Daredevil, in this 13-episode arc, Fisk.
And Fisk for this woman too.
Yeah, antagonist just on the other side of the main, but you actually really feel for this character, and you really want him. You want to see him.
Right. Yeah. And
But
television in general, if you count Netflix as television, occurs at his hands.
spoil it because it's pretty cool. But, it's also pretty.
But I saw how
feeling something's gonna happen, but you're like, that's what happens. You know?
So
that shocked at something like that brutal. And this is going to sound funny, but since the scene in the Boondock Saints when they accidentally explode the cat, made for humor, and of course this is not, but that's probably the last time I thought something happened in a movie or a show or whatever, where I literally had to rewind it because I wasn't sure that I actually just saw that happen.
Well, we just brought up empathy for this character. Did we ever have empathy for Tony Soprano or characters like that?
Characters like Tony Soprano, you develop empathy for them over time, and over time you start to empathize with him for his positive traits. In the case of Fisk, right off the bat, they introduce you to him as a person, and then they reveal his dark side over time. And it's something that Christopher Nolan sort of attempted with Harvey Dent in The Dark. He didn't have as much time to develop that. And I think if you had given Harvey Dent maybe, if not movies, for that character to build up, it could have been a similarly dense from the first minute that he's on screen.
But I love the fact that the news reporter guy who's investigating all this stuff, he puts up on his wall a card. Anyway, to bring up one is the fighting style of Kingpin, which comes out of his character. Much would beat someone up, it's almost like how a child who doesn't know his own strength would do it.
The comic book character was created, and they describe his fighting style a combination of sumo wrestling and judo. Meaning that he does a lot of throw moves, which is where the judo comes, and the sumo comes from him rushing at someone to try to use his brute strength to
pure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it was childlike. It was very, which made sense because he saw himself in a couple scenes, kind of anything away, but it really was very powerful just through his choreography of someone, or when he's doing whatever, screaming at someone even. He's very much like a little kid, and there's even that bit where I don't know if it's a spoiler to say that he calls a press conference at one point. Is that much of a spoiler? I mean, I don't know, And he can tell he does not want to be in public. He's very much like hi everybody. He's very nervous about his performance. The second thing I wanted to bring up was his best friend Wesley, his assistant.
Wesley was my favorite character.
What was so interesting about him was he was very much a bro girl. He was there like, sir, I have brought the. He comes in and the guy's like, my
fuels his inconsistent character. I do want to mention the performances from the other.
Go back on Wesley just a second.